Good morning. This is Torrin Walker, and today I'll be speaking with Barrington Martin II. Barrington Martin is running for a seat in the 5th Congressional District of Georgia. I'll be speaking with Barrington Martin about his platform, his policies, and the challenges of facing an opponent as formidable as John Lewis.
You're running in the 5th Congressional District, which is currently held by Congressman John Lewis. John Lewis is a civil rights icon. What do you think? What do you think of some of the things that he's done properly, and what do you think some of the things that you feel like you need to change? Is this a situation? Do you think you're going to have a really strong chance against someone with a machine as strong as his?
I absolutely think I have a strong chance. In fact, I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't expect to lose next month's primary at all. I look at and this is the thing I want people to understand off the rip, like, because I get this question all the time, like, why are you running against John Lewis? Why are you running up against a civil rights icon? And the truth of the matter is I'm not running against John Lewis. I'm running for District 5 of Georgia, which is mainly Atlanta. I feel that, Congressman Lewis has done a service to this nation and paid a debt to the nation that it can never be paid back. And I feel that he gets a lot of unnecessary slack when he has basically put his life on the line for the advancement of not just Black people, but just for all people within America in general. And I don't want to be seen as a person who's trying to, go against such a history or such an icon as he is. However, he's old now, and he cannot fight the good fight the way he could in the past. And it's irresponsible for citizens, especially people of the district, to continue to think that this man in his tender, ripe old age of 80, with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, with everything that's going on, as far as with the coronavirus, the Ahmaud Arbery shooting, all these incidents that take a toll on your body and take a toll on your stress, especially when you're dealing with your own thing. I don't want people to think that this is me trying to be against him, but I just want to have the torch passed to me, and I want to continue on the work that's been done. I feel like you look at his congressional record, there may be some things, some holes there, and it is what it is. I'm just speaking on the facts. There's some things that people may not agree with, and a lot of times when you look around the Atlanta communities, there are communities that are not being served, especially communities within the inner city, especially communities that possess an influx of a lot of Black people. And so I think that, it's time for those communities to get served, and it's time to move and towards a new direction. And that's all I'm trying to do. I just want to be, the public servant that I'm supposed to be, but I feel that our city, our district, has a lot of potential that has not been yet tapped into, and I want to do those things for the city in the future.
All right. You mentioned that there's a lot of neighborhoods and a lot of communities that aren't being served. This is Atlanta, which is a predominantly Black city with a predominantly Black leadership. Why do you think that in a city like Atlanta, there are Black communities and lower income communities that haven't been served with that sort of leadership?
I feel that essentially what it boils down to is access and poverty. I feel that a lot of times Black leadership tends to allow us as Black people to, assess the moral victories. Like I feel that we tend to get excited about things of having a Black mayor and a lot of things as far as the aesthetic is concerned. We really promote those things, and we really are proud of those things, but we never get into the nitty-gritty of the work and demand the things that we deserve. Like, for example, I feel that it's ridiculous of how like the money or the funds for specific things are allocated to like more so your high income areas more so than your low income areas. Like the further you travel up 400, the further you go up the district, I would say that you will see that those people in those high income areas have access to whatever they need access to. The further you go down to like South Atlanta, things of that nature, Southwest Atlanta, that's where a lot of my family lives to this day. They still have roads that haven't been constructed on for like the last 15, 20 years. They have like communities that need like total makeover and that haven't been given the necessary attention. You even have it so bad in specific communities that a lot of people don't even politic like in those communities. You don't see any type of posters or people running for office in those communities. And I'm just like, why aren't these communities getting attention? Because these are some of the people who have been living in the city for decades and decades, and they haven't been getting the necessary attention that they deserve. And I just think it's time to turn that around, because there's so much abundance and there's so much, resources out there for everyone to be able to use. But it's a shame that in lower income Black areas, Black people don't get those resources or don't get the chance to have access to those resources. So I want to shed light and bring the truth to the light, so not only people get the things that they deserve, but so people can start demanding the things that they deserve.
I see. And why do you think they haven't been demanding the things that they deserve, and why do you think that people in power in Atlanta haven't been receptive?
I think it's a twofold problem. I think that the people of the city don't know what they deserve. They have been getting so less for so long, then anything that they do get, they accept and without prejudice. And I think that, people, especially within the Black communities, have to start making some noise and start demanding that their elected officials do the necessary things they need to do, so that they can have better communities, safe communities, and access to a lot of the things they don't have access to. And then on the flip side, I can't really speak 100% to this specifically, but there's been a lot of members of corruption within Atlanta politics, and oftentimes I just feel that, just to be frank, our people do not look out for ourselves in a lot of that regard, because a lot of the communities that I'm thinking about as I'm talking to you right now, there's no reason why no one has come in and have been like, hey, we need to clean this up. We need to make this safer. We need to make this better, especially your neighborhoods that have a lot of senior citizens in them. And, senior citizens aren't necessarily able to have the hustle and bustle to be able to speak out against things, and they need a voice. And I would love to be that voice, especially thinking about all my aunts and uncles and grandmothers that still live in specific areas that have literally stayed the same for years and have no change at all. And I think that it's time for these resources to be allocated properly, and it's time for especially the Black demographic in Atlanta to get the things that they deserve. If we're going to be a Black Mecca, or we're going to have that title, then the money, the finances, and the economics should also reflect that as well, not just the aesthetic that we've been known as Atlanta to have all these years.
I see. What are some specific issues you think need to be addressed in the city?
Oh, man. Well, I have a couple of issues that I think that should be addressed. First of all, I think our infrastructure could be a lot better. I think that even though I know a lot of funding has went to MARTA in the past, I think that it could be a lot more efficient. I think that for Atlanta to possess the Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, our public transportation should at least meet up to the level of esteem that the airport has. I think that MARTA should be better. The streetcar, for example, is barely used. I think that it could be used in a much more efficient way. I think that downtown Atlanta could be a hub for a lot of businesses, for a lot of bars, things of that nature. And I think that streetcar could be very instrumental within that idea, with reducing costs, with reducing the amount of traffic the city has. It could our infrastructure in general, our roads, a lot of the tech we have downtown could be so much better. Crime should be better. I have crime is a little twofold, because it also provides a criminal justice initiative that I don't want to go too far into, because that's deep itself. But I think that a lot of communities need to be safer. I feel that, for example, I'll give you one. The police I have a strong belief that police should only police areas that they're from. And I think that will change. That will be one way that will change up the entire criminal justice system, especially within our city. I think the streets should be cleaned up. I think that we got to look at drugs differently too. But like I said, I don't want to get too deep into that criminal justice point. The next thing is housing and gentrification. I think that you see this. I've seen this all the time recently. Is that and especially in low poverty areas where houses are owned by senior citizens and the elderly, people are coming in and buying their homes for pennies on the dollar, and then turning around and reselling these homes for 5 or 6 times their value. Meanwhile, the people that they're buying these houses from are being relocated in areas where they can't even pay for someone to live because housing is too high. That's ridiculous. Atlanta is historically a black city in which a lot of elderly people own a lot of houses, but they are being preyed upon, by companies coming in, looking to make the communities look better, but just make the communities look better and make the communities better for a specific demographic, the high-income demographic. And that's not fair, and that's not right, and I want to turn that around as well. The last thing is the homelessness and the poverty rate. I feel that if we live in the United States of America, one of the most abundant nations in the world, it should be no reason as to why we have homelessness and poverty, especially within Atlanta. We are so many abandoned buildings, so many places where, we can open up shelters or, just remove the threat of homelessness or the fact that there's so many homeless people. We have the necessary solutions to better allow the problems that we have, but yet our elected officials haven't been coming up with these solutions or putting these solutions to the forefront to put a cease to these issues.
Okay. That's a question I wanted to ask you. You're running in the district that has been John Lewis's for decades. There is an entire class of black elected officials in Atlanta, but most of them are older or they're aging or they're connected to the Atlanta political structure. Do you think there's a disconnect between that power structure and people?
Absolutely. I feel that they aren't aware, of what's really going on within the streets of Atlanta. They have an idea, and I think that it goes against a twofold situation. Anytime I come into contact with someone and I tell them I'm running for Congress, and immediately, being a young black male, they're like, okay, I'm encouraging that. But the moment they find out I'm running against John Lewis, the situation changed, and now all of a sudden I'm the bad guy. But it shouldn't be looked like that at all. First and foremost,
what kind of response? What things have people said to you? What kind of
it's like, oh, why would you run against a civil rights icon? Why would you run against John Lewis? And I have to tell them I'm not running against John Lewis. I'm running for you. For starters, no person should hold an office for over 30 years. I'm a big believer in terminus. I feel that if I'm elected, it will not take me more than 5 terms to accomplish the things I need to accomplish to make people's lives better in the district. Not to mention, anytime they bring up John Lewis's name, they always bring up his accomplishments within the rights movement. And you can never take that away. Let me be clear. You can never take that away. But in some respects, you have to start asking yourself, okay, he did a lot of these wonderful things for us in the 60s, but from 87 to now, what type of legislation or what type of ideologies has he implemented within the district that has, progressed us forward or better the lives of the people in the district in general? And then when you start to ask those questions and people can only, revert to civil rights, it makes you look at wow, we have just been allowing or voting in individuals who haven't necessarily been at our best interest, but just for simple fact that, they hold a lot of acclaim for their past deeds. We continuously hold on to that without actually, looking at other options or even believing or even being aware that there are other options on the table.
Okay. What kind of what procedures do you think could happen? Or let me phrase this another way. What do you think needs to happen to bridge that gap between the black Atlanta establishment and the people, the everyday citizens of Atlanta?
I think that people need to have more of a voice, but I think that electing candidates such as myself, the young, vibrant candidates who are proposing modern day solutions for modern day problems and not simply continue on the archaic frameworks and archaic ideologies of the old that we have been consistently holding on to that haven't really been giving us any type of solutions or any type of answers to the problems that we've been having. I think that it's time for my generation specifically, all the millennials to put on our work boots, put on our helmets, and it's time to go to work, because pretty soon, if not, now we will inherit the nation, and we will definitely be inheriting a lot of the issues within the nation. So I think that in order for, the classical Black leadership of Atlanta to bridge the gap between the people, they have to be more susceptible to listening to the people, but the people have to speak up for what they need and not continuously allow things to occur the way they've been occurring and continue being silent about it. We can't just allow these things or this lack of change that has been going on within the district to continue to occur, because what will happen is when the new fourth industrial revolution occurs, because it's already occurring, Blacks are going to be left behind the eight ball and being left out. And I'm the type of person who is proactive rather than reactive, and I have the foresight to understand what's on the horizon, and I can prevent things from occurring, but I also can put us or give us the solutions to put us in positions for us to have a future that we all can be proud of.
Okay. People who support your campaign, what kind of things are they concerned about when they talk to you?
Healthcare is one. Of course, taxes is another, but mainly healthcare, and they want to see, they just want to have the voice that many other people in high income areas have. I feel like when I speak with people around the district, and they're in low income areas that I grew up in, to be honest with you, they never feel like they have access to their elected official to state the things that are going on within their communities. And that's why I want to be the type of congressman that is always accessible. I feel that with technology forever changing for the better, there's no reason why you should not have access to your congressman or congresswoman to tell them the problems going on in the community and what your expectations are in general. I think that oftentimes, especially within our city of Atlanta, elected officials have a tendency to look over, the little people who really make the city essentially. And so I just want to be able to allow those people to have the voice, to be able to speak to me, to be able to connect with me, and be able to put together the initiatives to make the changes come to life that they want to see.
Okay. Have you gotten any support from the Atlanta establishment?
Not at all. Hey, to be honest with you, they've been ignoring me, and I really don't have any idea why. My team has reached out. I reached out personally, but I've been ignored since the beginning of my run terrain. I think it's very interesting.
Why do you think that is?
I feel like because I threat the entire ecosystem. I'm speaking truth to power. I'm being honest about things. I'm coming in, not being docile like I feel like a lot of Black politicians that we've seen on the main stage have been in the past. I'm not like, they don't try to cause a ruckus. They just try to come in, play, in between the lines and do what they do. But it's not time for that anymore. We're embarking on a new day and age, and I know the problems that are waiting for us on the horizon. And I don't want my people, I don't want anyone specifically to get caught up in those things. And I really feel like instead of coming to me and, seeing what I'm about, instead of just shutting me out and, just totally ignoring me, that's not the Atlanta spirit, so to speak. Because, one of the nicknames of the city is the city's too busy to hate. And if that's the case, as a young Black male who's never gotten in trouble, who's always excelled from high school to college, who's always been a competitor, who's always wanted to see everyone around him win, I think that you would want them to look at me as an asset more so than a threat. And I think we have to change that entire mindset within our society in general. Instead of, people being threatened or feeling like their position being threatened, you should look at it like if someone's younger, more vibrant, who can take on those heavy roles that's been difficult to take on, allow them to do it, because essentially, as I stated to you earlier, my generation will inherit the nation. We're going to inherit the district. And so why not get a head start on working on this inheritance to make it something that, we can all be proud of, we can all be confident in a future that we're going towards.
Has anyone from John Lewis's camp reached out to you at all?
No, sir. I wrote a 2-page letter to John Lewis a couple months back, stating what my intentions were, just reaching out, introducing myself, basically saying that I'm not an enemy, and I'm not looking to make a name off of you, but I have so much love, adoration, and reverence for who you are as a man. I feel that you shouldn't really have to deal with the problems of society now, especially dealing with your cancer diagnosis. And I would ask him actually to be a mentor of mine and, just guide my steps in the right directions as far as being a congressional leader. But no word, not even a contact, nothing.
Well, let me ask you this: why do you think that the elder statesmen why do you think the elder statesmen and elder stateswomen of Atlanta haven't groomed a younger generation to take their place, or if they have, why do you think they're so reticent about relinquishing power?
When I look at the answer to that, I don't really necessarily think it's them. I think that's a human nature thing. However, I think, once again, they possess ideologies that's outdated in a sense, and so it's hard to give up. It's hard to give up power or relinquish that power. I think that they probably still feel that a lot of their ways would work or are working, but as we see what's going on with the world right now, there needs to be an instant or immediate transition of power or a new direction that must emerge from this, because the things that we have been doing have not given us the answers we needed to possess the unity and to possess the overall success that one would think that our nation will have in the 21st century. I feel like, go ahead.
What are some of those new ideas you'd like to implement?
Well, for starters, I think that we have to engage into a social contract with each other and state that because there's so much abundance within the nation, it is quite possible now for something to occur or for us to possess the very bare minimum in necessities. And what I mean by that is I would want to bring one of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s ideas he had to life right before he died, in which he was going to begin the Poor People's Movement by establishing something called universal guaranteed income. I think that is very much so possible. And basically, under that ideology, every month you would get paid a check for maybe $1,000, $1,200, $1,300, whatever amount it is. And basically, that amount of money is looked at as a dividend. And with that amount of money, it will be on top of whatever money you make with your regular job or salary. But that ideology itself states that as human beings, we deserve the absolute bare minimum. And the reason I said $1,300 is because around $1,300 is where the poverty line is. And of course, I want to take away poverty and take away homelessness. But yet, if you were able to receive this dividend, it will allow you to have the freedoms to do or make the necessary choices that you will need to make in your life, and it will give back the agency of your life, and you would not have to, decide between paying the light bill or buying food for the night. Universal health care is also ideology I would like to pair with that, because giving people the access to health care, taking it away from employment or untethering it from employment, along with a monthly dividend that everyone gets, it now allows people to have complete control of their lives and not allow their situation that they were born in or situations that's out of their control dictate their livelihood. Term limits, trickle up economics. These are just a few of the ideas I have. Go ahead, sir.
Trickle up economics, what is that?
But basically, it's putting money and spending power into the hands of the people. What we've seen is that trickle down economics doesn't work. You know, the ideology that you start at the top, essentially, financial freedom and financial progress will trickle down, but that hasn't happened at all. If anything, we've seen that with trickle down economics is only been negative towards the people at the bottom, because the people at the top make decisions that have been best for themselves, and essentially the people at the bottom have paid for it, whether it is in money, whether it's in like time, whether like the people at the bottom have always paid for the mistakes of people at the top more so than people at the top have paid for their own. So, for example, when you look at the CARES Act that's been passed by Congress has always bails out the big boys and the big corporations. But essentially, if you place the money directly into people's hands, the same type of economic prosperity you would think or they think that comes from bailing out the corporations, the same type of economic prosperity or even more could be accomplished by putting the money in the hands of the American people and allowing them to spend the money the way they see fit. And so that's what trickle up economics would be. It would be pretty much stop bailing out the corporations, but reinvesting into the American worker.
Okay. How has your campaigning been affected by COVID-19? Have you been able to get your word out while everyone's isolated and everybody's sheltering in place?
Yes, I have been able to get my word out. However, not as efficiently as I want to, of course, because I'm not able to meet people, and a lot of people are, for good reason, still afraid to, have face-to-face contact with a lot of people. But everything I've been doing has been through social media or through word of mouth. That's why I have the Give Me 5 initiative, which is basically if you support anything that I've been saying or support me as a candidate itself, you can basically, or what I ask people to do is I don't ask for their money because we're going through a pandemic, and I want people to keep their finances to themselves. And I feel like as a political candidate, I want to lead by example in showing that I'm not moved by money, even though I love donations. Donations are fine with me. I like to show that I'm not moved by money, but I am moved by support, and I am moved by visibility. So I ask everyone to give me 5, and that it means just tell 5 people about me, and then make sure each of those 5 people tell 5 more people about me. And that's all I ask.
Okay. I think we're in closing. What would you like people to know about you, and what would you like them to know about your campaign? What are your goals?
My goal is just to basically make everyone proud to be from the district, proud to be from the city, and just overall ecstatic that they have someone that they know that's accessible and fighting in their corner. Congressman Lewis, again, has led for years, and he's led well. He's done a lot of great things for us, but I feel like it's time for new direction. 30 years under the same leadership is a long time, especially when there hasn't been any substantial amount of progress that's taken place. I would love to, take this torch from Congressman Lewis and run it further than it's ever been ran before. I have the utmost confidence and the utmost belief that I can deliver a lot of the promises within my campaign through the people. And I just feel like all I need is one shot to prove myself. And everyone will not ever regret it. And I guarantee that people will see a distinct change within the first term.
All right. Well, Barrington, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for speaking with me and talking about your campaign.
No, sorry. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you. Happy birthday. I really found that funny that we spoke on your birthday. But I'm truly grateful for you, man. And really, man, continue the work that you do, because it's very important in our community, and we need brothers like you to continue to step up and speak truth to power so people can be enlightened on what's going on out here in the world.
Well, Val, thank you for that, brother. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're clear.
All right.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much again, brother. I will have this edited probably by tomorrow. I'm going to just not do any more work the rest of the day. I'm just going to enjoy myself.
Yeah, just chill, man. Chill, yeah.
Yeah, I should have this up. I should have the promos up by the weekend, and I should have it live by Friday. By Monday, I'll probably have it on YouTube and on my podcast channel. Then I'll put it on some things up on social media.
Okay, all good, and I'll promote it too.
Okay, cool. How old are you, by the way?
How old am I? 32.
32? Okay,
Yes,
cool.
sir.
What neighborhood you grew up in? I'm going to put that on there, too.
All right, so I grew up, I was raised on the west side. On my website, it's a picture of my grandma's house. She still stays there. I was raised on the west side, and then I grew up, like, actually got off the steps of the porch, East Atlanta. I went to Cedar Grove High School.
Okay, cool. So you're in East Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was real back then, man. If you're around 32, I remember how that used to get down.
Oh man, what man still is right now, man. It's never kids committing crimes, man. Right now, I talked to my mom. My mom still lives over here, and like, man, still like children, like high school kids commit crimes over here. It's wild to me, like how now it's the babies that are the criminals, and then it's like where their structure, you know what I'm saying? Like where are their parents? Like what's going on in these homes? And that's one of the biggest things I realized about being a teacher, because everything begins at home, and you don't have the structure, you don't have the foundation that you need, then kids just grow up crazy.
Yeah, man. Well, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and get this together for you. I'll have it up, and then I'll send you the links when everything's ready to roll.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate you, Torian. Thank you so much, man.
Well, thank you for talking to me, brother.
Anytime.
All right. Be good.
All right. Peace.
Peace.